my name is Michelle Medlock Adams, although a lot of people call me Missy, and I'm cool with that. And I'm here with my good friend Bob Bridge, Triple B.
That's
Welcome to
right.
the studio today.
Happy to be here.
We are excited because we're talking about Bob's first, well, it's not really your first book. It's your first solo book.
It's probably about my third book, but it's
Yeah.
the first one that's not related to sports.
There we go. And I am so honored that I get to talk to him about it because it's about one of my favorite topics, which is Christmas. I even donned the leopard Christmas hat because I'm so excited. I know you can't see, but right off the shot here, I have a Christmas tree up, and it's just September.
Right.
I might be obsessed with my dachshund Christmas tree because I'm obsessed with dachshunds as well as Christmas. But let's talk about this book, Bob. So this is the book. We don't have it in hand yet because it's still being delivered. It's on
Right.
the boat coming over. But it's called Stories of Christmas Cheer, Tales and Tales, Tails, from Hearth and Hound.
Exactly.
And this is the cover. Isn't it gorgeous?
And I'm so happy with the cover. I mean, I want to
Look at the basset hound,
They
right?
worked really hard to get me what I wanted, and they found it. That's exactly.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, that's exactly the concept that I wanted.
And so why this book and why now, Bob? Why? Because you could write, I mean, I've read you for years. I always say you're my favorite writer. So you could write about anything and have, but why this book about Christmas?
It's really all about my parents, Bill and Ruth Bridge. Becky and I were so blessed to have them as parents. I mean, all my friends tell me, the best thing about you. And I said, what's that? And he said, your parents.
There you go.
So many people would tell me that. And I agree with them. They were so wonderful to me. I mean, we were not we came from kind of a modest background, but we always the important things in life I always had.
Yes.
And Christmas was so special in our family. And so even today, it's so special to me because it is the reason for the season.
Mhm.
I tease, some of my friends are in music, and a lot of times some of the music they play, it's like they call it Christmas music, but it's like, baby, it's cold outside. That's not Christmas music. It's good, but it's not Christmas
Do
music.
you like the traditional?
Oh, come all you faithful,
Yes.
little town of
There
Bethlehem.
you
Yeah,
go.
I grew up on that.
Yeah.
And Christmas was just a special place in my house since I've been a baby.
Yeah.
And I've stayed with it all through my 7 decades here on Earth. And
We're telling ages. We don't tell ages.
I know,
out
we
here.
do not.
I'm not really mine.
Most people don't know what decades mean. We'll be all right. No, but this is very special. This was not a book that I didn't want to write a book just to write a book or to make money or anything. That's not what this is. This is a present to my mom and dad who are gone, and just to let them know how important they were to me and how the way they brought me up is so important to me now.
And I love how it's, the 12 days of Christmas, obviously.
Yeah.
So there are 12 stories, right? Kind of your favorites that sort of really, they just encapsulate the whole meaning of Christmas. Every one of those stories I know one is about like the stress of Christmas and how we get so stressed out about so many frivolous things when it's really all
Exactly.
about family.
Right.
What's your, I know, I already know the answer, but I want you to tell them what's your favorite story in the book out of the 12? Because they're all good. I've read them all. They're amazing.
Well, it could almost change from day to day depending on what mood I'm in, but really it's the one about my father.
That's what you'd say.
It's
I always cry every time I read
my
it.
dad was a really special person, and very sacrificing person. He would always be like, if there was one piece of chicken left, Dad wasn't going to eat it. He's going to put it on my plate. He was always so sacrificial, and there were he wasn't super conversational, but we talked very important things, and he was a very good teacher of life. But his special day, and everybody knew it, his special day was Christmas morning when he could be with me and Becky and Mom. And then my mom's mother, my grandmother, would come, and I always felt blessed that she would choose to come and spend Christmas with us. We had that all through growing up. And then when my sister had her 3 daughters, he was, oh my goodness,
Grandparents. That makes
yeah,
it even more fun.
it's like I was the unique uncle, and he was the grandest of grandpas. And I just look forward to it so much, to being able to. I gave them all kinds of funny gifts and things all throughout, and
There's a couple stories about that
yeah,
too. They're really
yeah,
funny.
they are funny. And that's just it. There are times in this book when one of my really dear friends that has been encouraging me for a long time to write a book. And she said, when are you gonna write it? When are you gonna write it? When are you gonna write it? And I said, look, I'm retired. I want to rest.
Yeah.
And then when I did, and she goes, well, I want to read it. I want to read it. So I sent her one chapter. And it wasn't the one about my dad, but I sent her one chapter, and when she sent me back her feedback, she said, it should be mandatory that with each book you sell, you have to give a package of tissues.
I agree with that. It's so spot on.
Well, there
Yeah.
are some that are really poignant, and then there are some that are just, just for your amusement.
Just jolly and
And it's
happy.
it's a good blend. And I was really bad about, like, I tried to write a fiction book once. In fact, I'm still working on it.
I
And
remember.
I don't know if I'll ever get it
Yeah.
done. I still like it. I mean, I like the premise and all, but my biggest problem was I could never put a chapter away and say it's done. Because there's always something I find that I didn't like, or I could do it better.
Yeah.
But I can say, maybe I can do this book better, but I can tell you this is my best work. This is my favorite things that I've written. And I've written a lot of good sports stories that I've really enjoyed writing because of the subject matter and all. But this one is close to my heart, and
And it comes through in your writing. It does.
I'm happy with it. I'm not a hard seller, and I'm not going to be. If it doesn't sell, if I don't sell one, I know there's going to be a few out there, and even if they share it, I don't care. I want them to experience what I've experienced with this book. Yeah.
I think that's what makes this book so special, is that, Christmas is a time of giving and receiving, and I like both. I like to give
I do
presents.
too.
Love to give them, but this is one of those books that is a great gift. I'm going to pick up some for all the people in my family, because I feel like it's a book that you'll put on your coffee table, because it's first off, it's pretty. It's a pretty book to put out on your coffee table at Christmas. There are a couple of books I have like that I pack them away,
Right.
and then I put them out every Christmas. I'm just as excited to see them again. I feel like that's this kind of book. It's a book that you'll have out and people will pick up and read, and before you know it, you're halfway through the book and you've laughed and you've cried, but if you have trouble getting into the Christmas spirit, this book will definitely take you by the hand and lead you on that journey. It's all the things that we love about the holiday season in one book, but it does point towards the real reason for the season.
It does.
You did that. You did that well.
And and thank you, but I would never tell anyone how to read. Like, you can either read slow, you can read fast, you can not read at all. I don't tell people what to do, but I will make a suggestion with this book. If you start reading this book like 2 weeks before Christmas,
Yeah.
the way to do it is you read, like, you sit with your family, whether it's one person or 5 people or 10 people, but every night, either before you go to bed or maybe when you get finished eating supper, and you read a chapter.
I love that idea.
And just take 5 minutes, and then just have a little discussion about it. And it's not like you don't have to
That's
have
a great idea.
But if you read it, it will impact you some way. Like the ones about what's your favorite, Christmas song. You'd be surprised how different people like different forms of music. And then there's one about what's your favorite Christmas movie.
The Christmas movie one. We talk about that forever.
Because mine is really unusual.
Very.
But it definitely is the one I like. And so, but
mine's White Christmas.
But yes, and who doesn't? Yeah. I watch it at least twice.
My sister and I always sing the sister song.
Oh, I love that. That's one of
we
my
are like,
favorites.
every time we win at Euchre, we sing the sister. Everyone hates us. We sing this song.
I like that. I like that. We'll follow the old man wherever he wants to go.
Yeah.
I mean,
he wants to go. I listen to the phone. It's so good. I know. Yeah.
But then in a lot of people like Christmas Vacation, which is hilarious.
Which is funny.
My cousins, they watch it every year. And if you're gonna come down and watch Christmas Vacation.
And Elf is a classic. People like.
Right.
It's just fun.
So those are fun. Those chapters are fun. But then there's some really poignant stories. The very first one is about how my dad and I, while sitting in my maternal grandmother's house, like 4 or 5 hours from Elkhart, we were in Evansville, decided that we needed to go see my grandfather in Elkhart. And it was just weird because we don't usually talk about
Yeah.
things like that because it's kind of a sensitive topic and all that. And I was just like 14 or 15.
Yeah.
But we talked about, well, we could really maybe go, even though it was already at night and we were going to be at my grandmother's till almost midnight. How are we going to get to Elkhart? But we kind of talked our way through it and then talked my mom and my grandmother into it. And we decided to take everything.
Road trip. Yeah.
And that ended up just by fate and I don't believe in coincidence, but
Me either.
it was my last Christmas with my paternal grandfather, who's probably more like me than anybody I've ever met. I
Mhm.
mean, just he was one of my favorite people by far. So
Aren't
it was
you so glad you did that?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
my dad and I talked about it every year about what a blessing that God gave us, the
That little-
motivation.
That
Yeah.
little inner
Itch,
voice.
that
Yeah.
little itch
It's like
you
a little
gotta
nudge from the Holy
scratch.
Spirit. You
Yeah.
gotta go. Yeah.
And it was it's probably one of the most wonderful Christmases we've ever had. So that's how the book starts off, Timeless Journey. And
Mhm.
it's that one's really close to my heart. There are days when that's my favorite one, but
It is a good one.
the one about my dad and my mom and then my grandparents, and then the one, where I was given they say to me, some young lady asked me once, she said, "Hey, she was going through some trouble, and she said, how do you know when you're an adult?" I laughed. I said, "I don't know. I've never got there."
Still working
I
on
said,
that.
"Let me call you back on that." So I called her back 2 or 3 days later, and I said, "The best I can figure is," I said, I had been working for several years, after going to college and struggling to get all my bills paid and get all
Yeah.
this to where I could actually make money instead of have to borrow money. And I remember the day that I went home and I bought my mom and dad this beautiful entertainment center that I really couldn't afford, but it's like it was on my heart to do it. And we came home from another function that night, and I had it all set up in their living room, and there's just no way to explain that moment other than that's when I grew up. That's when I learned the lesson. It is so much better to give than receive.
It made a big difference for them.
And yeah, and those are the kind of stories really that this is about. It's not
It's a beautiful book.
well,
It is.
Larry Allen, who used to be a teacher at BNL, told me once, he said, what do I like best about your writing? He said, when you write about somebody, you're just not writing about that person. You're writing about the people that are also close to us because
That's
we
true.
get to know that person.
Who you're writing.
And I
Yeah.
said, well, that was my goal. And I don't always achieve it. Sometimes I don't, that's for sure. But I've worked pretty hard on this. And you have been so helpful, and you've read them. You and Renetta.
Yeah.
Renetta Terrell is my friend too. And I'm thinking, boy, they're going to be tired of these stories when they're
No, I still love
But
every one of them.
you helped perfect them. Not that they're perfect, but you certainly made them
They're
better.
amazing.
And I'm like I said, I'm not going to brag about it, but I am proud of it.
Well,
And
you should be.
it's going to be fun because like I'm going to ask people for a lot of feedback. Like, what's your favorite? What's your favorite line? What's your favorite
Well,
story?
and that the people are probably going to just volunteer that without you even asking. My sister, Marty Spalding, always says, you know what I like about Bob's writing? And of course, I always brag on you to her anyway, but she's like, he can make anything that I'm not interested in, me interested in. It's like something that I would think, well, I don't want to read about that. She goes, I'll read a couple paragraphs. I'm like, well, now I have to read it because you make everything interesting. And so that's, Marty's not really a reader. I'm not sure she's even read my book. So just so you know, like
Yeah.
that's a big compliment from her, but you really are my favorite writer. I always say I went to school at IU to get my journalism degree, but I learned how to write from this guy
Well,
right here.
and
It's true.
I can say this, Marty, if you want to start reading them, start with this Dachshund Dash because I loved it. I loved the fact that this little dachshund is heroic. And if you read it, you will understand it. So.
He's always the encourager. Well, we just wanted to talk a little bit about this book today because we wanted you, before you purchase, because we think you're going to want it, to know a little bit about what's in it. It's a beautiful gift book. There are fun pictures throughout. There's some baby Bob pictures. Are you kidding me right now? Some of Bob with his sister, some of Bob with his guitar, and there's the friendly fisherman, his dad. There's a wonderful picture of his dad and his mom throughout. And it's just, I'm just telling you, it's one of those books that warms your heart. It's something I think you'll want to do every year, like he said, with your family, with your friends. It just puts your heart and your mind in the right context to go into Christmas. Because sometimes Christmas is hard for people, Bob. Especially if it's a first without somebody you love.
Exactly. And I think
Yeah.
we've all been through that. It's not just me.
Mhm.
Christmas is about family.
It
And
is.
it really is about family. And so you want to hold them near and dear to your heart. And this is a way to do
It
it, I
is.
believe. And it's fun for me to share it with so many wonderful people from Lawrence County, especially that have welcomed me
Well, you
here.
highlighted some stories. In fact, there's a story in there about the Christmas. Talk about that one a little bit.
That's the one that's
Because
really.
I mean, he's all about community. If you know Bob,
Yeah.
he's all about community. And this is a highlight to something that's so special, so
Right.
unique to our little town of Bedford.
Well, and I won't give the story away other than to say it's about Santa's house, which is the
And if
greatest
you've not
event.
gone, you've got to go.
You
It's
have to go.
amazing.
You do.
Out at Otis.
My neighbors across the street say it's the very best thing about Bedford.
It makes me so excited to even talk about. Like I look, I have goosebumps. Like I love going every year with my grandkids. It's awesome.
And it's not because of me. Now, I actually came up with kind of a little nugget of a notion of, hey, you know what you could do? And I kind of had seen something like what they do now that in Evansville. And I came back. Well, I actually took John Williams, who was a mayor,
Yeah,
and Misty Roberts and Larry Corpse.
sure.
And I told them, I said, hey, I'll take you to my favorite barbecue joint if you go down and look at this. And they go,
I'm
we're
in.
going. They were in. They like to eat
Reviews,
like
huh?
I do, yeah. So we went down. We had just a wonderful time, and we laughed. Of course, John Williams was the funniest person I think I've ever known.
I will agree with you.
So we laughed all the way down and back. But anyway, we all love the idea of doing something like that up here. But it was in the early 80s, I think, or middle 80s, and Damon Bailey was becoming prominent. And during December, it was all about basketball. So it was really hard to do it then.
Yeah.
And then, you kind of forget about it and you think, But then it was years later, and Kyle Brown, who was actually, I think, working for Shauna Gerges at the time, and he said, do you remember this idea you had for something? And I go, no. And he goes, no, he said, no, it was something that you do in the winter for the Parks Department. And I looked at him, I go,
Oh, yeah.
Santa's house.
Yeah.
Well, Mike Mitchell it was like taking a tiny little flicker and turning it into a
This
bonfire.
ginormous fire.
And Amber Hobson and so many people.
And it just gets better every
Jimmy
year.
Jones, one of my favorite people on earth now, is the parks director. What he's done with this, how they've made it better every year. But if you haven't
True.
gone, like she said, you've got it. Here's the thing,
So
you'll be
beautiful.
torn between watching the little kids sit on Santa's lap and then watching the parents and grandparents tear up
Oh,
while
yeah.
they're watching it. It's just beautiful. But it details the whole evolution of that. And I'm so,
And there's pictures of
Oh,
the
yeah.
beautiful
I'm so-
venue. And
I am
the-
so
the
proud
kids.
of our parks department.
Yeah.
People like to complain about local government and all this. We are so blessed. Our parks department through the years have been so wonderful.
I agree.
And I've been told by several people that work there, they would do it for free. They
You
really
can see
would.
it in their faces and in their
Oh,
hearts.
yeah,
And
it's,
those who play Mr. and Mrs. Claus and who read the
Exactly.
stories, it's a special thing. And I'm proud of our community for having that.
so am I.
But I'm glad that that's documented in this book. So there is something I can tell you. There's a story in here for every single person, young or old. When we teach writing, and when I teach writing quite a bit, we always say you have to know your audience and figure out who the book is
That's
for.
exactly true.
And we always say things like, well, this book can't be for everyone, but this particular book can actually be for everyone. It breaks all the rules because young and old. You don't even have to like Christmas to like this book, because if you like family, you'll like this book.
Yeah.
It just celebrates the best of all of us. So I think you're going to love it. And here's even a bonus thing. Not only are you going to love the book, we already love the writer. You're going to love the book, and the stories are going to make you feel all that heartwarming stuff. But you're also doing good by buying these books. So Bob, tell us about this partnership with the Lawrence County Community Foundation and how that all happened.
Well, like I was talking to you earlier today, I don't believe in coincidence.
No, I don't either.
Things happen
God
for a
winks,
reason.
maybe, but-
So I was thinking, well, I don't know if I can sell any of these or not, but I really want to share the stories. And And I really am not interested in making money for me off of this because this is a gift to my parents.
Yeah.
And we've never been about that. So it just so happens, I was a long time board member at the Community Foundation, and Hope and Lisa and Diane are three of my dear friends, and I've loved working with them through the years. And when I have a fund at an endowment at the Community Foundation, and they send me out stuff, and I had noticed that Hope had put on there that, hey, right now, Eli Lilly Endowment Incorporated is generously giving away a match for anything you donate. They will match, and I didn't look at it real close, but I looked at the letter and I thought, gee, that would be
That's
that would be
nice.
nice, because then if I donate like sales from this book to them, Eli Lilly is gonna throw in money as well.
Matching.
Well, and then I didn't read very closely, obviously, because when I got out there and said, her eyes lit up and she goes, oh, Bob, no, that's a 2-for-1 match.
Oh,
So
my
like
goodness.
if you give like $20 for the book, not only you're getting a book, well, and then since I'm giving that $20 to the Community Foundation, then Eli Lilly's putting in 40, so it's
That's
$60
so awesome.
of a gift to the community to get a $20 book that I think is well worth
Yeah,
$20.
it's a beautiful gift book.
I like
Hardback,
it,
it's gorgeous.
but it's just, it just warms my heart that something so good could come from this, because it's an unrestricted fund, and a lot of people think that the Community Foundation is too hard to figure out. It's not. An unrestricted fund means they can do whatever they want with your money. It's not going to one particular charity or something you're fond of. I'm fond of a lot of our charities. Like, for example, we're talking the Warming Shelter, we're talking Becky's Place, White
So
River
worthy, yeah.
Humane Society.
We're both
mean,
former board members of that. Like, we just
exactly.
love to help the animals. And
So this, and it's just such a blessing to think that the people that like it are going to be contributing to the community, and then it's all going to come back in different ways. And
it's like a beautiful circle.
so that was not a coincidence.
No.
That I would get that letter and I would see that. And so
The
like,
timing of it all.
so the first 600, and I don't know that I will sell 600, but the first
you will.
600 books, every penny, every nickel, every penny goes to the Community Foundation,
amazing.
so we can put it into that unrestricted fund that will allow them to spend that on whatever's necessary at that moment in time. Because I like to use the word perpetuity. I learned that from Hope.
That's
Sustainability
very
and
impressive.
perpetuity. And perpetuity means that long after I'm gone, because I'm 70, I'm not going to be around a whole lot longer, is that the younger people will be able to decide what to do with that fund and how to pay out the interest each year, which is starting to get pretty big now, and how they can help with, if maybe the Warming Shelter needs something, or Becky's Place needs something, or there are so many valuable charities and they're so good about placing the money where it needs to be. Bertha's Mission, and I can just name them all.
All
There's
good causes.
I'm so fond of so many of them. And I'm just hoping it might encourage them to take a shot on this book and help not only make me feel good, but definitely will make Hope and my friends feel good as well.
Well, and it's a legacy of love, this book anyway, but then the love is shared because it's going to be doing, your money will be doing good. So on that topic, how can people get a copy of this book? I know it officially debuts the end of October 22nd
Yeah.
is when it officially releases. But how can people order a book? I guess they order them from you.
Yes.
Tell us how that works.
That's probably the easiest way, because I'm retired, and other than watching Andy Griffith
And the Cubs.
the Cubs and Little House on the Prairie,
I mean,
those
are really my favorite. That's pretty much all you need in life.
No, I do a lot of reading. I like to read other people's books, actually. But really, I'm available. You can get me on my number is 812-276-9646.
I'll put that in the comments.
You can always contact me on Facebook. You can instant message me. And then my email, and people tease me about this, but there's 4 B's, then the word bridge, BRIDGE, at gmail.com. That's 4 B's, the word bridge, and then at gmail.com. You can
Okay.
email me. And there are going to be other ways that you can buy this, but this is the easiest way, really.
To get your order
This is
placed.
for the community foundation. I mean, if later you want to buy it, you want to buy it from Amazon, or you want to buy it from
In-game press, obviously
yeah,
will have it.
absolutely, Barnes and Nobles. If you want to buy it from them, that's fine. But this will help. This will really help
Yeah.
the community foundation make it easier. So I'm going to probably do this until I've set a pretty high goal of how much I want to be able to give, and I don't know, if I can
That's
reach it or
amazing.
not. But just in, I think it was just,
Like 3 days.
yeah, even less than that, because I really haven't been promoting it much the last day or two, but just in that very beginning, I think we made close to $9,000 for the community
Isn't that
foundation.
amazing?
So it's the kind of thing that it will really help the community. And I thank Hope and Diane and Lisa they jumped in on this and said, well, we'll do it. We'll help. So and anybody that wants it signed, I'm a little weird about being that, but
People like sign because it makes it special and
Really?
personal.
I had to ask Christy, now you've sold millions. How do you do this? Because I've been working on my B's,
Yeah.
But I'm really, it might just be BBB, but you'll get it.
Well, the
You'll get
triple
it.
B, that's what he's known for.
Yeah.
But you'll be at some appearances from now through Christmas as well. You might,
Right,
so that we'll be announcing that in Facebook, so you'll be able to find him if
right.
you want to have your copy signed.
Exactly. And I will be more than happy to personally sign them for you. If that means something to you, fine, I will do
I
it.
will like signed.
But it would really, it really means a lot to me that we can get these to the people at the community foundation, so they can benefit from this, because that's that gift that keeps on
It
giving,
is,
to
yeah.
borrow a phrase from Christmas Vacation.
That's right.
Yeah, it's better than the Jelly.
The Jelly of the Month Club. So much better than the Jelly of the Month Club.
That's true.
Cousin Eddie.
But anyway, I just want to thank you so much for letting me speak on this, and I hope this will touch somebody and they'll want to do this, because it is, this has been a rough kind of fall for me personally, and it's I'm sure for everybody, there's a lot of unsettledness out there, but this is the way really to get back to the basics, the reason for the season, and to be so grateful and remember how good life has been to us, and particularly for me because of my parents. And that's basically what this is about.
It's an amazing book. You're going to want a copy. You'll want to give a copy to your friends and family. So I'm guessing people are going to buy a couple, and I know I'm thinking of everybody I'm going to give them to, because it's something that, like, if people have moved away from Bedford,
Well, that's true.
you're going to want, like I was thinking, my friend Reagan Holiday
Yeah.
Juan out in Texas, she'll want a copy, because these are also memories of for her family, and how much Bedford still means to her, because Phil was the assistant chief of police and her
Right.
daddy. So, like, people that you might know that no longer live in Lawrence County but have roots here, they're also going to want a copy. They may not know about it, so you should buy them a copy. It's that kind of a book to share. So thanks for listening. We're excited to get this book into your hands. It'll be arriving very soon, and you'll be able to see it. It'll be available wherever books are sold, but let's try to get Bob to that goal. So buy directly from him, so that we can do that gift that keeps on giving and bless the community, not just ourselves by this book, but our money then will go and be, I love how it like multiplies, like the loaves and fishes, right?
Right.
It multiplies and it blesses
True.
more people. So thanks for being with us, and thanks for doing this book, Bob. I know it's going to touch a lot of hearts.
Thank you.
All right. We'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.